Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the next tune-in. After such a lovely concert evening yesterday, I'm so glad you all made it today. And yeah, we have a nice program today for you. And yeah, at first, we want to start with some small fun dance action, and I would ask all of you to stand up. Please stand up, stand up. And soon the music will start to play, and in order to refresh you this morning, I will do some dance moves with you, and you have to follow me along. So please do what I'm doing, okay? Since we trained our dance moves and we got it in the right mood to listen, we have some nice music from the youth section, and I would like all the musicians to come front, and we are really curious for your music. So give a warm applause, please.
We would like to give you a preview of our 5 o'clock performance today by playing Bella Bartok's Crescendo de Innuendo. We ask you to please bring your instruments and your voices so that at the end of the concert we can all make music together. Thank you.
So it's my pleasure to announce Max Richter once again to the stage. You may have heard it in the tune-in last week already. And this week, he's gonna tell us about reasons to take the path of art and music. And we from Crescendo Germany, we had a conference this year where we also made an input about this topic. And if you're interested to get to know more about this topic, you might click on our YouTube channel and you can hear a longer version of this talk, which we hear now in this tuning format. So give a warm applause for Max Richter.
Nice to be here again. Our tune-in is coming to an end. It's the last official, not really the last, but it's one more where we just want to kind of summarize what you got from all these tune-ins and others tomorrow. But today it's somehow the last one we talk about GPS for an artist in this, or let's say the new topic. And one thing I have to say to you about the GPS is that the GPS is a great thing because it will get you where you want to go to. If you know where you want to go to, it will make it. But a GPS will not tell you why you should go there. Maybe Google can tell you. Show you some nice pictures of the place you want to go. But the GPS itself will not tell you. So therefore it's a question. Why? To take it to our picture, a GPS for an artist or musician. Why to take all the way, all this long path to become a musician? And most of us here are on this journey to become musicians, artists. Why? And that made us think about some reasons why to take this way. What is works? Why is it work? Just 1 minute now. What's your first idea comes in your mind while you want to take this path of art and music? Just turn to your neighbor and say what comes up first into your mind. Do not ponder too long about it, just what is it? Why do you want to do it? Just 1 minute, turn to your neighbor, try to express. Okay, 1 minute is done. Now I would be really curious to hear all your answers. This question of why really brings me, okay, for me, I'm not a musician, I'm a theologian, historian. It brings me back to this question, where do we all origin from? Where do we all come from? Has this question, why do we art, has to do something with our origins? Because if you ever think about that wherever people are, they do some kind of art. It can be in the last corner of Greenland or the smallest island in Oceania, in the tops of the mountains of Switzerland or South America, yeah. And so that's the name of it. Wherever people are, they do music. And not just wherever they are, follow all the time through. Maybe you know these cave drawings. It's in a cave in southern France. These pictures are unbelievable. When they were seen first time, the people thought, that's modern. These pictures, these drawings, are 35,000 years old. No, even 37, because 35,000 years before Christ. People all, everywhere and in all times did art, and now you are musicians. Surprise. There's a flute found in the 1990s in Eastern Germany, in southern Germany. And there are older ones, but the oldest I know. It's the same age, 35,000 years old, made of a boon of a swan. They found 3 of this. It's to be seen in the museum in Stuttgart, where Janita is from, if you ever saw it. So old. People did music all the time. Why? And now you will understand a little bit better why I think it has to do something with our origin. It's not just a reason of our way to live. It seems to be really dark inside of us. Seems to have something to do with our nature as human beings. And that connects me with God. Because I, as a Christian, I believe that we have our upcoming from God, from the heart of God. God wants us to be. And His creativity we see in nature. We see birds singing, we have flowers. This nightingale is able to think 400 melodies. 400. Without any textbook, without any scores, just 400 different pieces of music. 400. Why? Or pick the flowers or whatever you want. For me, personally, it is really a reflection of the heart of God. How He thinks, how He is. And it's for me just an expression of the abundance of love in His heart. Because when we say love, at least in Germany, we always say, oh, I love ice cream. And that means I want to have some. But when God says love, He says, I want to give. I want to do good. I want to bless. I want to support, to lift you up. That's how the way how God loves you. And if God creates the nature, it's an expression of His love to do good, to do beautiful things, to support you, to lift you up. That's it. And that leads me back to this question, why go the path of art? When God expresses Himself, He is doing always like gifts, like presents to us. And I appreciate it a lot, being not a musician. That's sometimes very good not to be a musician, because I can sit in the audience and just receive your presence. And I do not think about but it's very often when I'm drawing and I can show you all the mistakes afterwards. And it's hard for me to accept that people say, oh, that's nice, wonderful. And I think for you as professional, or being professional musicians, it's the same, just to let it be a present. After the concert, and you know exactly how this done well, this done well. But could you imagine, you get a birthday present, and the one who is giving it to you would say, yeah, but it's not a good thing. It's not perfect enough. So it would destroy the present. So for me, the best way to receive art is when I realize in the artist this attitude of, hey, I want to make you a present. I want to make you a gift. Just enjoy. I want to make you happy. Because that's the way how God creates. That's the way how He deals. So how can your art be a present, a gift to others? I'm going to give you very briefly, I try my very best, 7 ways of how it can be a gift to others when you are doing music. So be prepared, fasten seatbelts, now start. First of all, your art is able to help people to remember and to celebrate the good things. Can you remember the CSI party with the music and the dancing? Such a joy. Can you remember a birthday party without music? Without some forms of art? It would be terrible. We want to celebrate, we want to remember the good things. And that's all why Christians and other religions as well want to celebrate God in art. Imagine how much music is written for services, for the reason to say thanks to God, to remember His goodness, His love. And not just music, although paintings, although architecture. That's the Sagrada Familia in Barcelona. It's amazing, this building. What kind of architecture? And every stone speaks about God's love to surprise us. So, first thing, the opposite actually is processing sorrow, dealing with the need. I tell you very briefly, my mother died 6 years ago, and I really wanted to see her to say goodbye. Nobody of my family wanted. I was the only one in this hall of this funeral place, and she was there in this open coffin. And I can tell you, I cried all the time. It was really hard. It was terrible to see her, but I really wanted to say goodbye to her. And then the background, the very music, classical music, very silent, very softly, just instruments. And it was an absolutely secular institute that prepared the funeral. All my family is not Christian, not at all. I grew up in northeastern Germany, the Communist Party, part of Germany being passed. No origin, there's no Christianity in my family, nobody. But out of a sudden, in this hall, in front of my dead mother, there were this little piece of music without text, just instruments, that reminds me of this song I knew from church. In the text, and it was about the love of God. And I tell you, in this moment, it was like God would directly speak to me into the middle of my heart and say, Max, I know your sorrow. I will care. I will take care for your mother. Don't be afraid. Don't be whatever. I'm with you. And I tell you, no speech, no words could have made this so directly. Not here, but here. Your art is able to help people to process suffering. Whoever played this little melody on the tape, what I listened to, you never know what will happen with your music. For me, it was changing the world. Slightly different, renewing hope. This picture, maybe you have seen it, it went through the social media, is this Ukrainian cellist in the midst of the destroyed Kharkiv. That's where Mary is from. And this gave hope to so many people. Or the pictures when the choir or the orchestra of Kiev is on the Maidan place and they're singing the joy. The Ode to Joy of Beethoven's Ninth. That was really touching their hearts in the midst of all the circumstances. And it's interesting that art especially touches our heart in a painful situation, not showing the difficulties, not showing the pain, the aggression and all this, but reminds us to something wonderful, to something peaceful, something perfect. That is what drives us to tears in art. It's not the brutal part in art or whatever. It's this like a remembering of that's where I want to go. That's what God planted into our heart, where we are made for the eternal peace and so on. And this simple melody, what he played in the midst of this actually, it's a wonderful gift for people to renew hope, whatever circumstances. Finding balance. There's a picture you might see of the king at the harp, and there's a person. That is from the Bible. That is King Saul. And always when he got depressive and in that mood, he called David, the later king, and he played his harp and sung some music. The man's spirit got better. So music therapy is not a modern invention. It's very old. And there are lots of other ways to help people to find balance. Because we are in this mood, for instance, depressive. And maybe you know, when I'm in a sad mood, in a depressive mood, I want to listen to this music, that will help me. And probably it's not the most craziest music, but maybe music that picks me up where I am in this mood, but will bring me slightly into some hope, some better mood. So, it wouldn't be much more to say about this, but next one. We are on a high-speed train. Understanding yourself. One thing about art that is wonderful is you can argue about art. Always. There is no good and bad. Maybe there is badly done, or sloping down, or well done, but art is art. We can discuss this. And if you are in a concert or in a gallery, like here, or in a museum, just make this experiment to go through the gallery, look at different pictures, for instance, and think about what speaks to you and what not. What do you like, which you can access very easily and be happy with, and what not? And ask yourself the same question. What does this say about myself? Why do I like these bright colors and clear forms and shapes, and why do I like this? Or why do I like this very fine muted tones on structures on this picture? Or why do I like this first music part? Or I remember when Dark played this Swedish composer. Norwegian, sorry. Norwegian. I never heard it before. And thought, wow, that's so wonderful. And I checked it on Spotify afterwards, checked it out, and said, what does it tell about yourself that you like this kind of music and a different type now? And in the concert, often you have quite a lot of different pieces, so you will find some that you like and some that you like not, and then you can think for yourself. Expand your horizon. This picture is a little bit dark, but I didn't find a better one. You remind Ali Reza's composition, do you remember? We played in the tune yesterday. This Persian style of music played by our classical instruments. That was mind-blowing for me. But do you know, it reminded me of an experience what I didn't have when I studied in Israel. Long ago. It was the first time that I had the experience of an Oriental, of an Eastern, East Asian, no, Near Asian, or so Mediterranean, East Syrian style of music in a concert format. Really, an orchestra of these ancient Oriental instruments on stage. And I thought, you got a crowd. How many? It's like a European orchestra. Many people with all these different kinds of instruments I never saw before. This very different style of music with all this, you could say very well and what they do different and how they tune the instruments and all. It was mind-blowing. It was really opening a new horizon. Oh, this is a way music can work as well. It was really, well, right now I'm reading a lot about Chinese approach to painting. It's so different to ours, so it's really expanding the horizon. Last one, 7th, you done. Appreciate the everyday thing. This is a picture, maybe you can see it roughly. It's called the plate. It's just an everyday situation. There's a person who prepares breakfast, probably not for herself, but for the Lord, the lady of the house where she is serving, whatever. But the way Johannes Vermeer painted it, it's unbelievable. You should really, if you have the chance to be in the Rijksmuseum in Amsterdam, go and look for this. Very great. It's the Mona Lisa, you will find it for sure. The Mona Lisa of the church. It is really, everything is quiet in this room, but just this little stream of milk, it's moving. And everything is concentrated on this. And this woman is standing there, we look up to her, like we do to a saint statue, or whatever. And this peacefulness and this looking up to her makes us appreciate it. I think it's so amazing how he did it, right? In a technical way, how he leads us, not thinking about it, leads us to, wow, weirdness. And I had to think, how did he do it? Oh, it's just this quietness and this looking up to her. But actually, it's an everyday situation. She's preparing the breakfast. It's not a big deal about it. But to appreciate the everyday life, something your art can be present to others, just to appreciate. Think just about Smetana's Moldau. How is it in English? Moldau. Yeah, just water. Flow. Or the Kuckuck in Beethoven's Sixth Symphony. Just and then, yes. And it brings us back to the first where we started with the nightingale. So 7 reasons I gave you. I hope you have 1 more minute. Just turn to your neighbor again and think, what of the 6 spoke to you? Oh yes, that's what I like. We have 2 minutes. What spoke to you? Stood out for you on this Saturday? Just turn to your neighbor, exchange a little bit.
Max, for your inspiring speech.
Yeah.
Yeah, since we learned today about some aspects of art, they call it recency, we may encourage you today in our daily challenge to go through this day with open eyes, open ears, to listen to your colleagues or to listen to your fellow friends and tell them about your reaction to their art. Tell them, okay, what did you feel when you heard them playing? What was moved inside of you? So, and I want to encourage you to tell us reaction to your friends, to the people who played this concert, to give feedback. We are almost at the end of our today's student, and we have Shaba with the announcements. Yeah. Big applause for Shaba.
Good morning. Please tell me if you cannot hear me, okay? Yesterday was a bit not okay. So, about today's program, we have a presentation today. At 3 p.m., Viola double-bass guitar sectional closing concert in the synagogue second floor. Okay? 4 p.m. In the synagogue ground floor, violin 1 sectional closing concert. The students of Heather Mixler and Anders Eriksson. At 5 p.m., youth sectional closing concert, youth in the tuning. And at 8 p.m., we are cruises in the synagogue. Some artistic announcements. Important information for the musicians participating in the Via Crucis project. The dress rehearsal will take place between 9:15 and 11:30 p.m. in the synagogue. Please arrive on time. 9:45, sorry. 9:45, yeah. So you should run soon. The rehearsal of the Brahms Orchestra will take place between 12 to 1:15 p.m. in the synagogue. Please arrive on. And
How did we lose half an hour?
The Via Crucis project will finish the rehearsal at 11:30.
We started 11:30.
I wish.
Yeah.
Do I have any artistic lady here? No? Where is the boss? No boss. So,
That's 12 a.m.
we will announce it soon. I need to run and go back. Bogi, any info? Bogi says that we have 30 minutes to organize the room from the Via Crucis to the Brahms Orchestra. There's the chairs and the
No, I understand, but nobody told us we lost half an hour of rehearsal today.
So, the Brahms Orchestra will rehearse from 12 until 1:15. I know it's just missing the whole Vivulas Tamash after this. So, some dress rehearsals, violin 1 from 3 p.m. here. Yes?
May I make a suggestion? I'm sorry,
But-
it's independent, but if the entire Brahms Orchestra can be present and ready at 11:30, and we will try to change over as soon as possible. In case things are finishing sooner, then we can start sooner. Because we can have to do it all the time.
I will ask the logistic department, but
Everybody shows up and are
to
ready by
be
11:30.
honest, you should go to 11:30 in the synagogue, and after you will see, you can start the rehearsal maybe before. So Sorry for the inconvenience. So let's get back to dress rehearsals. For the violin one, the closing concert, we'll start the dress rehearsal at 3 p.m. And for the youth sectional closing concert, the dress rehearsal will start at 4 p.m. Some general info. We placed the new posters and flyers of 2023 in the entrance hall of the high school. Please take some and give them at home to friends, spread them around in your school. Please, if you have time, and please have time for this, to fill in the evaluation forms. Notes for you, use the message board, leave a kind word to each other. And some sostenuto announcements. Come to the last unit, it will be tomorrow, until the last time that we can be together here. And there will be an international church service on Sunday here in the unit at 10 a.m. Thank you and have a